for the day to you. This is Esther Davis with a very special educational show. We are finally going to talk about foreclosure prevention. Foreclosure prevention. We looked all over the state for the right expert to talk about this subject, and HUD sent us the perfect person. Please welcome my guest, Mr. Todd Mark from Consumer Credit Counseling of America. Did I say that right?
Of Greater Dallas.
I still got it wrong.
Well, we serve the entire country. That's okay.
I know you do. I am so happy to have you here.
It's a privilege to be here.
You travel North Texas talking about foreclosure prevention.
Yes.
Yes.
CCCS of Dallas is one of 9 agencies in the country.
9 agencies in the country. Okay.
That serve the National Housing Hotline. It's 888-995-HOPE. This is the Homeowners Hope Hotline, and it's free, 24/7, 365, bilingual urgent housing counseling. And
foreclosure is on the mind of every American in the country, Todd.
We know.
They're talking about this, and in fact, we've been asked to do a show on it, and until we finally had an opportunity to meet you, we were just searching for the right mix, and somebody could answer all of the questions.
Well, Esther, I wish that we were able to answer every question, because if so, we would have given all the answers about 4 years ago before this all started.
Before it all started.
But yeah, do you know that right now the Hope Hotline is taking 12,000 calls a day?
The Hope Hotline, 12,000?
12,000 a day, and there's still people that are not calling us. We're still reaching a very small percentage of the folks that are behind on their mortgage or have received a notice of foreclosure that they're going to lose their home. So we want them to either call us or work with their lender directly, because there's so many options right now. And even though you're hearing all the gloom and doom, it's actually a good time because of the new administration and the Obama housing plan that was put in place. There's new alternatives for folks. And despite all the gloom and doom, there's actually some upbeat news about the housing market.
We're talking about foreclosure prevention. 12,000 calls a day go into the hotline. People with questions. I have a question for you. Why don't people come to you earlier when they first find out about a foreclosure, the possibility of a foreclosure? Why do we wait until the last minute to talk about how do I prevent foreclosure?
Well, first off, there's the old adage of the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And when people are behind on their mortgage, that's not only the only debt that they're behind on. Generally, they're behind on credit card debts.
Okay.
And so when I say
so it becomes a domino effect, everything else.
Yeah, but the squeaky wheel is not the mortgage. So the squeaky wheel are the unsecured credit card companies and their collection agencies calling around the clock, pressuring you, can you make a payment, can you make a payment?
So they're really meeting the needs of the people that are calling constantly, the credit card, the car payment, yada, yada,
But guess what? The mortgage company's not going to call, because you know why? If you don't make your payment, eventually they are going to have the ability to take the home back. So they're not as aggressive, and people often reprioritize in a bad way. They're paying off unsecured debts rather than paying their home, which should be their number one priority every month. So there's that. And then there's a lot of folks that are just afraid because they think, if I call, if I respond to the letter, or if I pick up the phone because I see my lender's on the caller ID, they think that's going to trigger something bad, that that's going to facilitate them losing the home. When in reality, the
it's going to
lenders
help
want to
you.
work with them. They don't want to take the home back. That's not the business they're in. So, and that's not good for the economy. That's not good for America right now. So they're reaching out and saying, how can we help?
Right.
And if the borrower doesn't pick up the phone, or if they ignore the letters, there's not going to be a lot of communication. And at that point, the lender's going to think, oh, I guess they want to lose the house.
So the key is really communication.
Absolutely.
And all the options that we have. Let's start at the top. Let's start with the present administration. What things are coming down the pipe that are brand new?
Well, the newest things are the Obama housing plan. It's known as
now give that to us in simple language.
How about making home affordable? And makinghomeaffordable.gov is the new website it's in conjunction with HUD that explains the 2 new alternatives that are being given, or the 2 newest plans.
Okay.
There's a refinancing option and a loan modification option. And here's the deal. Refinancing, they're trying to make it easier for people with FHA and other types of refinancing options with Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae to refinance their loans. And these are people that maybe they haven't lost a job, but the home value is depreciated. It used to be worth $200,000, now it's only worth $150,000, and they look like they're close to 100% loan to value. Like they have no equity.
Right.
Nobody wants to refinance these people. Well, the new Obama plan is going to allow them to refinance. Even if there's some credit delinquencies or some dings on their credit, that's not going to hurt them. They're going to be able to refinance.
So they're going to be allowed to refinance even though the property value has decreased?
Yes.
Okay, that's one option. So what is some of the other
one.
options?
And they're going to try to get 4 to 5 million people in each of these options. That's good news. The other option is a loan modification.
Okay.
This is for people who've not only seen a loss in value of their home, but something's happened. Maybe they've lost a job and there's no income coming in. Maybe their arm reset and the interest rates are making it so that they can't afford the mortgage payment anymore. It used to be affordable, now it's not.
No, it's not. Well, you don't have a job. You don't have the money coming in.
Yeah, but even if they do have a job and they were just stretched to the limit, they borrowed just enough where they could make it. Well, now they've got a $300 more a payment a month. They're like, oh no, what can I do about this? So they're trying to do a modification. And in simplest terms, a modification will change one or more terms of the loan. It can make an adjustable rate, a fixed. It could take a high monthly payment and reduce it to a smaller payment.
Okay.
It can reduce the interest rates. It can stretch out the amortization where instead of in a 30, you're even all the way up to a 40-year loan. But they're going to do things to make it easier for you to make your monthly payment.
Okay, so now the national, is that going to work in your opinion? Did you like the options coming from the top?
Well, first off, there haven't been enough options for folks.
Not enough options.
There's not enough options, and let's put it straight. There haven't been enough incentives for lenders, servicers, or investors to participate because they're thinking these people should honor their agreements. They said they were going to make their payments. They're not, and now should we cut interest rates? Should we even forgive principal? And that's what they're now being encouraged to do. And there's actually financial incentives in the Making Home Affordable plan for servicers and lenders to work with folks. And they're actually saying, yes, you may be losing something on these interest rate concessions or even if you're spreading out the principal, but guess what? We're going to give you a bonus for every year that somebody's had a modification and they stay current. So you've kept them in a home 1 year, you're going to get $1,000.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. So there's incentives for them to work with borrowers as well.
Incentives and options. My guest is Todd Mark, and we're talking about foreclosure prevention. It's a big, hot topic. Everybody's talking about it, and we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to come back, and now we're going to talk about what's happening in North Texas and the counseling that is going on around the state to keep you in your home. We'll be right back. You're watching the Esther Davis Show.
He covered over 5,000 miles, averaging about 100 miles per day. Manson says he wants to thank all who donated to his cause and wants to remind us that even though his journey is over, it must continue. Tom and Harriet Banks.
Every year, 1 million families face losing their homes to foreclosure. Because they don't know what to do, they do nothing. If you're in danger of losing your home, call us, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
Welcome home, man.
My name's Brandon. I'm 9 years old, being alcoholic.
Hi, Brandon.
I'll start drinking with the older kids. And whatever they do, I'll do.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
I know I'll start with alcohol. I'm just not sure how it's gonna end.
He was a man of great vision, faith, and drive. A true team leader.
He may not have won any championship rings, but he was a champion for justice.
He inspired me as a basketball player and as a person.
Teaching me that America's true strength lies in the diversity of its talents.
His message of hope made America a better country.
Showing us that the possibility for a brighter future
is anchored in dignity, sensitivity, mutual respect,
and love for all mankind.
On the basketball court, I played alongside some of the game's best.
But the man we all admired most is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Join our team today by donating to the Washington, D.C. Martin Luther King Jr. National Memorial Project. Your donation will help build a memorial to Dr. King on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Make history and donate. Call 1-888-484-3373 or visit www.buildthedream.org.
And we're back with Todd Mark from Consumer Credit Counseling Services. We're going to talk about counseling, foreclosure prevention. We've been talking about what's happening on the national level. Now Todd is going to educate us on what's happening right here in North Texas. Are we doing okay?
Well, from an economic standpoint, North Texas is doing better than many parts
We're
of
doing
the
better.
country. Yes.
Okay.
Unemployment's not as high. Delinquency rate's not as high. Foreclosure rate's not as high.
We're still hearing the gloom and doom, though.
But it's still not good.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. CCCS of Greater Dallas, this past year, 2008, 53% of our work was housing counseling.
53%.
Yeah. Now, in a normal year, we're between 15 and 18% housing. And that's spread among pre-purchase and reverse mortgage counseling and some foreclosure prevention. Last year, 53%. And almost the vast majority of that is people that are behind on their mortgage or facing the loss of their home.
Did you see, as a counseling service, did you see that coming? Did you see it sort of creeping up on us a little bit at a time?
Yeah, we.
Or did it all just hit you all at one time?
No. Sadly, we're like an early warning system, an indicator of the economy.
Okay,
because
good.
we see the worst case scenarios that come to CCCS.
Okay.
And, you know, there was a perfect storm where we had these low interest rates between 2000 and 2004, and people were refinancing, rolling all their credit card debt into their homes, getting upside down. And then they're getting all these new products, these ARMs, these options, these interest-only things that don't help you pay off a house in 30 years. And people didn't understand the products. They didn't understand that their payments were going to balloon on a monthly basis or there'd be a big balloon at the end. They didn't get it.
They did not get it.
And they put the house up at risk. And you know, we always say, don't hawk your house. You don't want to put up your house for everything else. And that's what people did.
What are the most common questions that you get? I know you have all of these sessions that you're in. You're doing a litany of sessions with legislation right now. What are the most common questions you get?
Well, people don't understand their options that lenders make available to them. And so the first thing is explaining what's a forbearance. And forbearance is when they're going to give a momentary pause and let you make reduced payments or maybe no payments. This is great for somebody.
Maybe no payments.
So somebody that just lost a job, they're going to say, let's forbear for the next 3 months, see if you can get some income coming back, and then we'll resume. So that's a forbearance.
Okay.
Some people are considering repayment plans. So you're behind 3 months on your mortgage, and the servicer is going to say, let's take that 3 months and spread it out over the next 12, and you'll make 1 1/4 payments.
Okay.
By the end of 12 months, you're all caught up, even Steven, we're moving forward.
Okay.
A repayment plan.
And all this is done basically on a one-on-one basis, right?
Yes, and during our sessions, when somebody calls us up, whether directly to CCCS of Dallas or through the Homeowners Hope Hotline, it's about a 90-minute session, and we're going to go through the following things. We look at their income, and if it's changed, especially with unemployment being 8.5% nationally right now, that's a big factor. We look at the monthly expenses and say, if everything else is equal, are you living within your means, or are you living beyond your means?
Do you have the occasion to tell people you're not living within your means, or you need to do this, or
Esther,
I'm just
5 seconds, and there goes another one. So, you know, yeah, it is, but it's not all people living beyond their means. It's people that have gone through a divorce, a layoff, a medical catastrophe, a death in the family.
Okay.
So it's not just financial mismanagement. It's good people and bad things happen, and sadly they weren't prepared.
Okay.
So
let's go back to the most common questions that you get in your
sessions. So we
talk
about these. We talk about the options. We certainly explain loan modifications because those seem to be the real savior right now for folks because they've gotten these bad products. They need to get out of them. They need to have them adjusted. We'll talk about refinancing, and some people still qualify for that. And of course, under the new MHA, Making Home Affordable Plan, there are options for folks. But Esther, we also talk to people about the options when it doesn't include keeping their home.
Okay.
Just because the
That's a
house,
tough one.
and it's probably the hardest thing we have to do. When
So
we
you
say,
literally
"Listen,"
say you should walk away from this, or what do you say?
well, what we say is you still don't want to let the house go through foreclosure. You
Ah,
need to work with the
okay.
lender and talk about things like a short
Okay.
sale or a deed in lieu. And what that means is
A deed in lieu?
a deed in lieu of foreclosure. So this is you saying, I give up, but I don't want to go through the foreclosure process, and the lender doesn't either.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of legal costs. So say, we're going to turn over the keys. Here's keys, and in exchange, don't pursue a deficiency against us for, what we owe after you sell the house.
Mhm,
Because in the
mhm.
past, that's what would happen. You have the house sold on the courthouse steps. It's $30,000 less than you owed.
Exactly.
You still owe the money. So if you work with the lender doing a short sale or a deed in lieu, you're not going to have to worry about them hunting you down for money later on. And also,
And what happens to your credit when you take the deed in lieu?
it's still going to tarnish your credit.
Okay,
And,
okay.
and let's face it, if somebody's getting to that point, they're already several months
Mhm,
behind on their mortgage.
mhm.
The credit is trash. That's the least of their worries right now.
Right.
What I'm concerned is I don't want to see somebody owe tens of thousands of dollars, and then if they don't follow the right steps, once they get 1099 at the end of the year,
That's
they got
right.
taxes on it as well.
So it becomes a triple whammy, not a double whammy. This is triple
It is.
whammy.
But now, Esther, I'm going to give you the worst whammy of all.
All right.
And the biggest question we're getting is, how much should this cost? There's so many scams out there, and HUD and the
Oh
Treasury
my gosh,
are
you are. How do you
trying-
track that there are scams? And I need to talk about that. I really need to talk about scams for seniors and scams on people on the foreclosure list. What is your counseling? Are you trained to do all of this?
Sure. What are the qualifications, and are you working for me, or are you working for a servicer or a lender?
Right.
So the first and most important thing is when somebody calls CCCS or they call the Hope Hotline, you know how much it costs?
How much?
Give a guess.
How much it costs? Well, with 12,000 calls a day, it's got to be costing a couple of $100,000.
No, it's free. That's
It's
what I'm
free?
It's free. So it's free, but sadly there are horrible agencies that are scamming people. They're charging hundreds or in some cases thousands of dollars. $1,500 is the common.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand this.
Mhm.
You have this free hotline that will give all of these options out to Americans, homeowners, so
Right.
to speak. Free. 12,000 calls a day. Now, do I get a voicemail when I call? Do I get a live body? How long do I have to wait? Now, that's one of my number one agitations in life. What do we get? Are there people there ready to answer my question? Free is one thing, but agitation is another.
Sure. Well, taking 12,000 calls a
That's
day
a lot.
is certainly not easy, and we have over 550 counselors within our
Oh,
network
wonderful.
to take calls. But does that mean that you don't get a busy signal sometimes, or that you may have
Okay.
to hold? We try to counsel every person immediately. So when they call,
Mhm.
we'll say, please hold for the next available counselor.
Okay. Well, that's better than being scammed.
Oh, well, absolutely. But in some cases, we will ask people if they want to be scheduled for the next day or
Mhm.
later in the evening when they get home from work, put the kids to sleep. Because we want to have, if it's a family, have both spouses on the
Now,
phone.
is it 24-hour? Is it 24-hour?
24/7, 365.
24/7.
So people could call, if they called Easter morning, we were there. So
Really?
and they're not getting recordings; they're getting live people.
Okay.
The big complaint right now you're hearing is when people call the lenders, and not to throw it on them, but seriously, they're being overwhelmed with
Yes,
millions
they
and
are.
millions of people that are facing foreclosure. They want to talk, and they want to talk right now. They don't want to hear, we'll process you and we'll be in touch. So
Hold on until for the next operator.
yeah, and that's why it's nice, Esther, to have a caring, compassionate counselor
It is.
calling CCCS. And it's not just over the phone. You can come to CCS of Greater Dallas and sit down at one of our 20 offices, face-to-face, across a table, and we'll
20
hold your
offices.
hands.
His name is Todd Mark. We're talking about counseling and foreclosure prevention. We'll be right back. This is going too fast. Don't go away. I'm coming right back.
He covered over 5,000 miles, averaging about 100 miles per day. Manson says he wants to thank all who donated to his cause and wants to remind us that even though his journey is over, it must continue. Tom and Harriet Banks.
Every year, 1 million families face losing their homes to foreclosure. Because they don't know what to do, they do nothing. If you're in danger of losing your home, call us, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
My name's Brandon. I'm 9 years old, being alcoholic.
Hi, Brandon.
I'll start drinking with the older kids. And whatever they do, I'll do.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
I know it'll start with alcohol. I'm just not sure how it's gonna end.
My special guest is Todd Mark from the Consumer Credit Counseling Service. He's educating us on foreclosure prevention. Prevention. A lot of tools in place, a lot of options. Let's talk about legislations and legislators. Are they educated? Are you bringing them up to date on what's going on with their constituents?
Well, thankfully, they've been really out front because they're concerned about their constituents. They're also concerned about their districts. There's no taxes coming in.
That's right. There's no taxes in. Oh.
They lose their home. Guess what? There's no money for services like police or fire or teachers.
Okay.
So your basic amenities are going away. They don't want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's the broken window problem. And what happens is for every one foreclosure in a neighborhood, you're generally looking at a 1% decrease in property value. Well, if it's 3 or 4, you can suddenly see that it's not just impacting those that lost their home, it's impacting those that stay behind.
Exactly. Because the
So-
neighborhoods start to decline,
Yeah.
and all kind of things start coming into the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So give me a general idea. What is your week like?
What is our week like? Well, first at the agency, it is nonstop calls.
Okay.
And at all of our branch offices, we are very booked, and we encourage people when they need help, call immediately, call soon, and take action.
Okay.
But set an appointment and move forward.
Okay.
My personal week, I'm out on the road quite a bit. Matter of fact, the last few weeks, I've done 3 events with congresspeople. Our Congresswoman Eddie
Oh,
Bernice Johnson
okay.
here in Dallas, who's a terrific champion of financial literacy, and she cares so much for people not to get caught up in scams and not to fall behind. I worked with Sam Johnson, as well as Jeb Henschling as well, and
So they're actually setting up town hall meetings for you to
Town
come in and
hall-
counsel and educate.
yeah, so they're
The homeowners.
public
Okay,
meetings
okay.
and saying we're going to bring counselors, and it's not just CCS. They're bringing multiple housing agencies here in North Texas
Are
together.
people attending these?
Yes.
They're coming. They're physically coming out.
And in some of the big Hope events, we've had between 200 and 500 people
Wow.
show up because that's how many people are hurting and need help with their
So in
homes.
addition to the 12,000 calls a day, you're doing almost nonstop town hall meetings with legislations on your own, on the phone.
Yes, and now CCC.
Do you have a personal life at all, Todd?
Rumor has it I have a wife and 2 kids. I have a picture on my BlackBerry just to remind me. But what I do a lot, I'm going out and going to churches,
Good.
schools,
Okay.
civic groups, and new employers, and we're teaching classes. As a matter of fact, the most important one we're teaching right now is recession-proofing your finances.
Recession-proofing your finances.
And this is a free class, which all people need to do is...
Say that
is
loud.
tell
It's
me-
a free
class. It's
class.
a free class. And actually, we put together a risk assessment with the Dallas Morning News and the brilliant writer Pamela Yip, and we're taking this out to the public and saying, how can you prevent yourself from being a catastrophe, from the recession, from the unemployment that's going on right now? How do you prevent yourself from falling into a situation of mortgage delinquency, facing foreclosure? So we talk about all the risk factors.
Do you have a feel for how long this depression or this, don't let me say that, this recession is going to last?
Well,
What do you tell what do you tell your classes?
Well, sadly, the unemployment numbers look like they're going to go up through into the middle of 2010. Now, again,
Are you serious, through the middle
Yeah.
of 2010?
Yes. Now the good
That's
news.
another 6 or 8
I
months.
know. And that's the good news is that Dallas, North Texas hasn't felt it as bad as other places. But if you have lost your job, it doesn't matter what happened to the rest of the population. You care about you. You care about putting food on the table for your kids, for keeping the roof over your heads.
Exactly.
So we work with them. We work a lot with the Dallas workforce and Department of Labor and surviving job loss, how to budget through to getting your next job, how to supplement income in the short term. And Esther, the most important thing we do for those folks is really creating a cost of breathing budget. I want you to say that with a cost
of breathing budget. Say that 10 times, Ron.
There you go. And that's just making sure mortgage, car, utilities, food, necessary insurance, nothing else matters.
Right.
But you need to keep those things in shape because you can't lose your home, you can't lose your car, you're not going to have a way to get to work.
Well, and the best thing is to be informed, because what I'm finding is that just a lot of people are not informed. This is a show that we've been asked to do, and it is about foreclosure prevention and recession proofing your life. I love that. So there's a lot of information out there, and we're going to keep putting up. I keep holding this card so I can say Consumer Credit Counseling Services. You guys have been around for a long time.
How did you know we're celebrating our 35th anniversary?
I did not know that. I did not know that, though.
Thank
Really,
you so
35
much.
years.
35 years.
And you have 20 locations.
20 offices in Texas and 10 right here in Greater Dallas. So people can sit next to a counselor face to face. They can talk to us over the phone. The most important thing is they take action, because we're here to educate and empower. We provide help and hope to anybody, regardless of where they are on the financial spectrum. Maybe they're doing well and they're saving up for a home. And by the way, if people do have decent credit or they got money put aside, it's a great time. It's a great time to buy, because there's deals out. Oh, there's incredible deals on houses.
And that's a good point, because somebody has saved some money, and there is people with money, and they're taking advantage of these
And
big
guess
deals.
what? Interest rates are below 5% for
Wow.
a 30-year fix, 4 3/4 for a 15-year, and these deals on homes. Great products from FHA. People need to visit HUD and see that the products that are available. There's so many good things for people. So we'd much rather talk about pre-purchase and the good side rather than nursing people through a crisis.
What about the veterans that are coming home?
We're seeing.
What are you seeing on that side of this?
Well, let's face it, the veterans are having a hard time with unemployment right now.
That's right, because they're coming home to no jobs.
They're coming home with no jobs, so that's an issue. And another group that we're seeing a lot of right now, senior citizens.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, the baby boomers.
The seniors are going back to work.
Seniors are going back to work, or they're going to their kids saying, my 401k is a 201k. I have no way to cover my house or my exceedingly high insurance or medical costs. So what do I do? And that's another reason they come to CCCS of Greater Dallas. We do the required housing counseling for a reverse mortgage.
Okay, so now all of a sudden reverse mortgage is more attractive.
Well, it's
or is it being better understood?
It's more necessary.
It's more necessary.
Is
Okay,
that
that's a fair.
way to say?
That's a fair statement.
Is people don't have enough money to live out the golden years, and they're going to need some of the equity in their home, and in some cases all of it, to live that out appropriately and not have to depend on their kids.
So, your counseling agency will absolutely take you through the processes for reverse mortgage or whatever a senior needs to do.
And we explain the products, the costs, because it can be very tricky and it can be costly. There may be other options, but we want to educate them so they understand it before they get into it.
Well, this is very important, because we've noticed over the years that a lot of scams are available to seniors, and we keep talking about free services that are available through Consumer Credit Counseling Services. So you can give them a call. The number is up on the screen. If you want to talk to Todd, he is there some of the time, but they have people that can talk to you about it. Now, I guess you do have a personal life. Do you play golf or anything at all?
I'll tell you what, no. I watch sports. I'm liking the Rangers right now, but you know what? We've got smarter people than me back at the offices, ready to take your call. And if you call the Hope Hotline, they're on right now. No matter if we're on at 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, people can reach us and they can call. And again,
now,
that Hope
quickly,
Hotline,
how do you interface with Patricia over at HUD? Because
do
that's how I got in touch with you.
We do so much with HUD. As a matter of fact, all these congressional events, HUD is speaking, we're speaking, and we're doing the outreach into the communities and helping explain foreclosure prevention options, pre-purchase options. So we work closely with HUD. We are a new multi-state organization for HUD, which means we serve a great area helping folks with their housing issues.
I'm so happy you came.
It's such
We're
an honor.
completely out of time, but it's been a great show. Foreclosure prevention. Todd, we're going to ask you to come back.
Anytime.
Give us some updates whenever I can catch up with you again. By the way, hello, by the way, you are absolutely the greatest audience in the world. We'll see you next time.